Well, if you clicked on this video, then I suggest that you're struggling with self-confidence, and that is a natural phenomenon in that it is something that we've got to battle with every single day. There are several successful people out there that you might think that they don't actually come across some of these challenges, but the truth is that most of them, even till this day, after having to speak on several platforms and having to achieve several greater feats, still struggle to actually find the self-confidence to actually drive themselves subsequently towards the pursuit and the attainment of their goals. And so in this video, we'll be looking at one thing, and that is how you can actually boost your self-confidence and then go on to achieve your goals without having to struggle. And so if you're new here, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance, and on this channel, we discuss everything personal finance and personal development. But before we dive deeper, there's one thing that you need to know, and that is the fact that sometimes it isn't us in that we are not the cause of our lack of self-confidence. It's actually something that has actually been formed right from the very formative years of our lives, in that when we're young, certain things were said to us that till this day are still holding us back. For instance, your parents or people around you, friends, family, even having to confess to you that you're not actually qualified for your job, or you don't have the skill set to actually become successful in life. All these things actually have a very negative toll on our ability and our self-confidence subsequently. And so one thing that you need to know is that you may have to actually do something, and that is to try as much as possible at this point to open up your paradigm, in that you need to form several things and then convince yourself beyond reasonable doubt, more importantly, that everything that has been said to you in the past is not relevant when it comes to your future, and that you have what it takes, more importantly, to forge a better future, and a future that will see one thing, and that is the self-confident you going on to accomplish every single thing that you set your mind to achieve in life. And so without further ado, we go on to the first thing that you need to do in order to boost your self-confidence, and that is to surround yourself with uplifting people. So one of the key reasons why people fail in life, according to Napoleon Hill, is simply because they don't have access to enthusiastic support, and that can actually come from your inner circle or probably even your spouse. One of the key things that you need to know is that you need to surround yourself with people that actually challenge you to get better, and not people that talk down on you, and that anytime that you share your goals with them, these people actually come out with several objections and several reasons why you cannot go on to achieve these goals. If you find yourself in the company of people like that, then this is a time for you to actually get away from them, because they are not going to help your self-confidence in order to form the very things that you need to do, or probably adopt the several habits that will be required for you to actually hit your goals. According to Napoleon Hill, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can actually achieve. But your belief is actually impacted by the people that you find yourself around, and that is why it is very necessary for you to actually get away from any negative sentiments or people that are likely going to drain you or drain your energy when it comes to you actually having to set higher goals and a subsequent pursuit and the attainment of those goals. For instance, in my inner circle, there are several people in there with several degrees, and so anytime that anything finance pops up, it's thrown in my face to actually get it done. Anytime that anything computer science or data science or anything computing, it has to actually go to Jay, because he has a master's degree in data science and computing as well. And so it makes it much more easier for us to challenge ourselves. But more importantly, these challenges are actually being thrown at you also ensures that it helps you to build your self-confidence and your ability to solve several other future problems along the line. And so the circle that you find yourself in there can actually make or break you. And that is why it is very necessary for you to actually choose your circle wisely. This brings us to the second point, and that is to prepare like a pro. So one of the key reasons why people fail, or they actually do not have the self-confidence, is simply because they are not competent enough in whatever field that they find themselves. And so the best way to actually ensure self-confidence is to actually prepare, and prepare like a pro for every single thing that you do in life. One of the key reasons why people fail is simply because they do not prepare. And so anytime that those challenges actually pop up, then they are actually found in a state of anxiety. What you can do is that at your workplace, or probably even in your relationship, try as much as possible and then learn new things. Subject yourself to education. And that is one of the key reasons and the key ways for you to actually build self-confidence. For instance, imagine someone like President Obama. He's actually done the work in private And so anytime that you call him to deliver a speech, he's actually going to hit the nail on the head. And that is simply because he's been doing it for several decades and it's become much more easier for him to do it. For instance, someone like Warren Buffett equally can actually handle any single company in the world and then drive it from a state of, having to make losses to it becoming extremely profitable, simply because he has a confidence and a competence that is attached with whatever he does. And so one of the key ways that you can actually build self-confidence is to actually ensure that you're pursuing competence, and that will subsequently drive you towards self-confidence. This brings us to the third point, and that is to master your posture. So one of the key things that you can do to increase your self-confidence is to play the mind games on yourself. And so what you can do simply is to stand tall, your shoulders back, and your chin high, and then walk with your head up. Try as much as possible to maintain eye contact when you're having several conversations with people, including strangers, and that would actually ensure that your self-confidence is actually boosted. Simply because anytime that you find yourself in this posture, research is proving that it also helps your brain to actually catch up with the posture, in that it makes you much more confident, and then it helps you also to subsequently attain whatever goal that you set for yourself to attain in life. This brings us to the fourth point, and that is to dress for the mood you want. And so one of the key things that you can actually do in order to boost your self-confidence is to dress or to appear very well. Appearance is key, and I learned this when I was selling insurance at the very initial stages of my journey as an insurance salesperson. One of the key things that you actually need to know is that clients can actually base their decisions on even how you appear, and then more importantly, to a larger extent, how you smell. And I learned this from my immediate boss, that was my manager. And every single time that he came to work, he'd show up in one of the dapperest suits that you can ever think of. And his shoes are always clean and he's always smelling good. And so I learned that from him. And it actually ensured that we closed more businesses. And if you're to compare him to the other salespersons and the people that actually sold in the company, it tells you that there was a clear difference, because clients are more likely to accept you, and that is society, especially if you turn up in a Lamborghini, as opposed to someone that turns up or, riding a bike or something. They would actually not trust you simply because of your appearance. And so if you truly want to get the self-confidence to get things done, then try as much as possible to know what works for you. You might not probably have to get the elixir or the EDP or the parfum or all the most expensive perfumes out there like I do. But one thing that you need to know is that try and then figure out what works for you, and then try and then wear that. And that also boosts your self-confidence and ensure that you attain greater heights in life altogether. This brings us to the fifth point, and that is to practice the power of affirmation. So one of the key things that you can do, like I've stated earlier, is to consistently try as much as possible to play the mind games on your mind. And that is simply because it helps you and it positions you in a way to actually go on to attain greater heights in life. So one of the key things that you can do is to repeat to yourself consistently that you're able, you have the skills, you have the talents, and more importantly, the abilities to execute in any way or form that you want in order to steer yourself subsequently towards the attainment of any heights that you set for yourself in life. And that comes in the form of you having to make positive affirmations. And that is what Napoleon Hill calls the power of auto-suggestion. So try as much as possible to talk to yourself like a friend. Convince yourself. Make sure that you're the only voice in your head consistently telling yourself about the positive things that you can achieve in life, and try and then block out all the noise. Separate the signal from the noise, and that is one of the key ways for you to actually build self-confidence, go on and then attain greater heights altogether. This brings us to the sixth and the last point, and that is to celebrate small wins. So one of the key reasons why, according to Atomic Habits, people do not successfully ensure the attainment of their goals is simply because we're all focused on that production, and we omit the small gains that we make marginally along the line. So anytime that you set goals for yourself, if you truly want to build your self-confidence and to ensure the right motivation that will subsequently drive you towards the attainment of greater heights, there's one thing that you need to know. Try as much as possible to focus on the little gains that you make along the line, and that is what would eventually ensure the right motivation and also the self-confidence that is required for you to actually attain your goals at the end of the day. And so if you found value with this video, kindly smash the like button. It really helps the algorithm, and then consider subscribing for several content like this. Thank you for spending time with us, and see you in the next video.